Hi, my name is Anya Devine, and I'm today recording this video as part of the RSW Instagram takeover. So today is my first day doing this, and so you can bear with me. I'm fairly familiar with doing videos, but you know, I feel a responsibility to do something important now that I'm on the RSW Instagram site. And it's my home. This is my dog Maisie, who's desperate for a WALK probably. But I'm going to do this first. And I wanted to, you know, it's been really lovely engaging with the other artists who've been doing this takeover for the RSW. RSW stands for the Royal Society of Scottish Painters in Watercolour, or the other way around, the Royal Scottish Society of Painters in Watercolour. And so the last 2 weeks it was Anthea Gage who was doing the takeover, and what I loved about her posts was this the spirit of playfulness that seemed to be a big part of her joy for painting, you know. And I find the same thing with me. I love to get my hands dirty and just play, you know, to tear and stick, and that's what I'm wanting to do today. And I'm hoping that I'll do a fair few of these over the couple of weeks, little playful sketchy things, mixed media, and as Julia Cameron says in The Artist's Way, serious art is born from serious play. So it's not to be taken lightly, I think, this space with permission for you to just let your colours out, you know. And I'd recommend any of you to give it a go, really, just whatever it is that's your creative expression, whether it be dancing in the kitchen or whatever. I think that's all I was going to say. So now I'm going to do a painting. I've got Instagram TV, and I hope that you'll be able to see the length of this thing. I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but I've got a plan anyway to start with. I'm painting and using as my inspiration this jug of flowers. Mostly it'll be collage, I reckon, but I thought I'd start off with doing maybe just squirting some ultramarine blue on there for, this is acrylic now, putting some ultramarine blue on for the t-shirt that I'm using as a tablecloth. Just noticing all the spatters on it. You see, I'm using my living room at the moment. This is the living room. I have got a studio, you can see it in the garden, just barely there, look. And I've got a studio also at Kenzie. Now the garden studio I cleared out the other day, so I will be out there again. But this morning I just thought, look, I'll just get this underway, and I had set it up last night a little bit on the table, so and the children, my youngest is in school, so I can just have a bit of free rein here today to play on the living room table. And to be honest, over the last couple of years, that's been what I've been doing mostly. I'm just finding some stencils here because I thought it might be quite a nice thing to it might be quite a nice thing to put some stencily stuff on there. Stencily stuff. I think the cognitive brain goes to sleep when this carry-on happens. And you know, I was going to say that I'm looking for a colour to use. I was going to say, it's no harm, is it, for the cognitive brain to go to sleep sometimes, because it can give us a fair bit of jip, I reckon. I'm looking for, I think I'd use white. Oh, let me see now. I don't know, did I bring any white acrylic in with me? So I need to do a plan B there, I'd say. Do you know what I might try? Is just using water. I wonder if I was to try lifting off the acrylic with some water, if it might leave a nice pattern. Oh, that's kind of nice, isn't it? I hope you can see all right there. And that's going to take a little bit longer to dry because it's wet, but because it's wetter than I would have stippled it on. But I think it's quite nice. So lifting off the spaces in between rather than painting on anything. That's what I'm doing here. These are some flowery stencils that I got from a place, I think she's just, you know, on Amazon. I looked up flowery stencils, and this is what happened. Yeah. And as it dries, I might wipe away some more. I think I want to put on another one. I'll try a different one again. I'm slightly more nervous than I would normally be. Yeah, I think I said that already. There you go. There's a sign I'm more nervous. Just because this is the first day of the Instagram thing. So now I'm putting a darker blue. I've been learning how to use Instagram a bit better the last few days, so I'm hoping now that this will work out today. It's great, really, to see my friends on there that I used to never really know what I was doing with it. Like, you know, I can interact with people a bit more. So feel free to comment and have a chat with me. Anyway, so that's something. That's the beginning. And last night I was playing about with some inks. Let's take a drink. I was playing about with some acrylic ink, really just to ease. I was feeling a bit tense yesterday, and I thought, do you know what I need to do is to drop some ink onto water and see it spread out. And that's what I was doing there. So I'm going to tear off a bit of it now. I'm peeling off a layer of it so that it's not very thick collage paper, because what I think I'll do is use this to explain the turquoise jug that's there. Yeah, and I'll take off that bit there. Yeah, maybe I'll make it slightly more the shape. I mean, I'm not so concerned to make exactly the shape I'm after with the collage, because I still want something to respond to. Where's my glue gun? No, where's the glue? This is not unusual, by the way. If you're thinking she doesn't know what she's up to, it's just that this is kind of what happens. I found the glue. Isn't that good? No, this is PVA glue. I'm going to stick it down with, because I want the PVA glue is quite good to really get, you know, to really stick down the edges. And I want to do that so that I can draw over this on the back of it, so I can see the jug properly. Kind of like the flowers there too. Just want to see what will happen, seeing as I'm covering over those ones anyway. I'm going to see what would happen if I was to wipe away. Probably a bit early, yeah. But maybe the ones over here, no, that's a bit early too, I'd say. I'm saying a bit early because there's something nice that can happen when you wipe away acrylic. It leaves a lovely pattern underneath. Sometimes the bits that are dry stay put and the wet bits wipe away, and it leaves a nice lost and found kind of thing. Hopefully you'll be able to see that, because it's going to hopefully happen here before I finish. Right, the glue isn't sticking so well there now on this side. After saying it's a great glue. Okay. It's going to keep coming up, isn't it? I think I need to just tear that off. And I can put a thinner piece on there maybe. Because there is glue there already, I might as well use it, I suppose. Can you see what I'm up to there now? Yeah, do you know what now? It's no harm to make that shape a bit smaller, and to start to get that feeling that it doesn't really matter what happens here. And that feels like a good place from which to be. It helps not to have the pressure of having to have it work out. I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it? But it doesn't matter too much, so I'm willing to lift stuff off and try again and all of that, carry on. Knowing that with mixed media you can adjust edges all the time. And the main thing is that I want to stay engaged and excited about it myself. That's the purpose in play, isn't it? To actually enjoy yourself. There we are. So that's some semblance of a handle there as well. Now, what am I going to do next? Yeah, I think I want something to explain those Montbrecher. So see all that orange. This was my plan last night. I don't know if it's if it's gonna, well, I think rarely do plans kind of work out when you're in creative mode, and we kind of tend to go off in tangents in different directions. And sometimes I think a plan is only just to get you through the door. So we'll see what transpires here. But I do love this bright orange inky collage thing, and I like the way that it allows the shooting off of the bright Crocosmius flowers to be seen here. Remembering to breathe. I have a microphone as well that I'll find and use tomorrow, so if my voice isn't very loud, it's because I haven't found my microphone yet, and also because I've forgotten to speak clearly, so I need to remember to do that now. Okay, so kind of like that it goes off the edge there, even if we don't. And there's another one that goes down there a little bit. Doesn't really matter, does it? As I say, you can adjust things after. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter, and it matters hugely. That's the thing, isn't it? Finding that kind of biting point in between. Now, this is just some other collage that I painted before, a pattern I quite like. I really could have done with my white acrylic, couldn't I, for those daisies as well. But you know, I've got some pastel that I can use. And I'd say I'll find the acrylic when I'm not so panicked looking for it. I'll probably find some white in here anyway. Okay. And then there's the purple flowers as well. I think I want to put on some darkish paint underneath. So I'm going to use, oh gee, this is quite a lot. I'm going to use some Van Dyke Brown with the ultramarine blue, because it seems to me that behind the flowers it is quite dark. So I'm going to paint a combination of the brown and blue together. And I'm sitting down each time I'm going to look at the thing. Another thing I couldn't find this morning was my masking tape. And I would have used it to mask off this, but look, this will do just as well, won't it? To create a feeling of tabletop and background. And I've just got the one size of brush with me today because I only wanted to use one brush. I didn't want to get involved too much in any unnecessary details, you know. This is really just a kind of a playful thing. And using colour feels good. Using colour and paint and, you know, moving fairly swiftly as well feels like a nice thing to do. Get some kitchen paper now. And let's see, I wonder if that tabletop will do anything interesting now. I'll wipe away some of those marks there as well. This is just mount board that I'm using to paint on today. And I wanted to bring the dark in behind the daisies so that I can find them from the darkness. Yeah. And there's a lovely daisy looking at me there, like right in the middle. Which I might extract from the dark by lifting off, you see. And you could even use the kitchen paper as a drawing tool now. Put a bit of water on it. And even just lift out some petal shapes there. For the one that's facing us and the one that's there. And lift off some of that because that needs to be daisy underneath there. It's only a little bit of ombre that's showing through it. So I'm going to lift off most of the orange. And I can replace it down here. Yeah, thanks for bearing with me here, you know. I think it'll become a little bit more relaxed as the couple of weeks go on, hopefully. And we'll see, this mightn't be what'll happen. We do other things as well, we'll see. Okay, so that flower, you see, I reckon I want to do something now to explain that daisy that's looking at me there. And a bit of yellow ochre, I think, for the centre would be no harm. So that's oil pastel I'm using there. And then have I got some chalk? This is chalk. I might just use the non-dominant hand because sometimes I find that I can get a bit contrived if I'm using, you know, that I can become a bit too careful. Oh look, it's tearing off the jug. It's kind of a nice way of making it sit in front of it. That's one. Gosh, I can find myself wanting to do a good job again. It's always to be avoided. The kind of attachment to outcome. But I think the thing about mixed media is that you can't stay in that place for long because stuff like this happens. It all starts to surprise you and do things that you wouldn't be in control of. And then you're able to go back into that playful state of trying to figure out a solution. Just gonna take the bits that come off and use them somewhere else. Nice bright orange there. There's a bit of something. Okay. This was what I could do too to make those daisy petals. Is I could tear off some white paper and just let one of those. You see, I'm half closing my eyes now to be sure that it is bright, because sometimes white can be in the shadow and it can be quite dark actually. But in this case, it's fairly bright, alright. Fairly bright. So the spattered white paper is kind of working out to describe the petals there. I'm going down here because I put some PVA glue out on the board, and every so often I just stick a bit on with it. Got some more collage paper over here now. A doily that my friend Vandy gave me. I was teaching a workshop in Cambridge last week in Vandy Massey Studios. A lovely spot. I've been down there to paint a few times, and I was doing a landscape course, and the lady running the course, Vandy, gave me these doilies that she had been using, so I'm just going to use them to describe. I just feel like putting something in that I you know, that's white to describe the daisies, but you know, that something a little bit different for me. Okay. And I might use some more of that in these petals here as well. Interesting, I could have decided beforehand whether I was going to stand up or sit down when I was doing this, because I've got a couple of viewpoints now, but at least I think it's helpful for the video for it to be you to be looking from above. Oh dearie me, right. That old judgmental voice is coming in saying, oh, what are you doing? But I'm familiar with it. And I know that if I can kind of forge through and just not let it drive the car, that sometimes it pays off, and I'm actually deciding now I'm going to go in between some slightly squatting here and managing. It's fine. Okay, so there's the jug, and I think I could do with some turquoise ink maybe, and I did bring some in now. I've got so many bags of things, you know. Here we are. I've got a couple of turquoises. I think I'll use this one if it works. This is high flow acrylic. It's a bit stuck at the top now. I wonder is it, yeah, it's working now. I just thought maybe put a nice injection there for the light side of the jug, and maybe other bits of the jug as well. Just something that kind of free. Oh yeah, and I could use this. This is a little spray bottle of acrylic ink that I got from Lidl. And I ran out of the ink, but I quite like drawing with the stick, so I just put more Indian ink water down into it, because this little stick is handy. It's a handy drawing tool. Just to describe the shape of the space between some of those rose petals there. Oh yeah, and I can do a little bit of drawing too with that turquoise ink. Over there a little bit. Okay. I think maybe I do need to start describing those purpley flowers. I forget the name of them, those bright purples there. There's one here as well. This isn't purple now, you might have guessed. It's more of a blue colour, but I don't have a purple oil pastel. But it's close enough, I think. It gives a feel for them anyway. As I look around, I'll find something that might work with, along with that. Maybe in my bag of, you know, I love this stuff. Forgot about that. I love that pattern. I don't know if it's for today, but if it's only gonna, I think I might put it up there somewhere. Then I could read maybe as leaves. One of those embouchure flowers. I hope that I'm loud enough for you to hear. A little bit more glue on there. I know this all seems total chaos, really, doesn't it? But I certainly find that, but no matter really what happens, if I'm getting my hands dirty and tearing and sticking and using different materials to make a picture, whatever the result, really, it engages something different than the usual carry-on that goes on in the head. You can just, you know, have a little bit more freedom, and it's not a life or death thing, is it? A little bit closer again. Dearie me, sorry about the shakes. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Oh, no, what'll I do next? Yeah, I wanted to get something purple. Got some more collage papers in here, because I think I might have a purple watercolour that might do as well. So, you know. Origami paper again from just online. I ordered some because I saw one of the ladies on my one of my online courses, Jen. She had lovely origami paper in her landscape work. I thought it was a really nice little way of bringing in pattern and creating something that reads as detailed but isn't laboured. Right, and the other two daisies now will maybe make a little help it to make sense again, you know. And the centre of that daisy being kind of yellow is helpful as well to bring some cohesion in there. Okay. You can probably hear the stress in my voice. But you know, actually, it's alright too. I think it's all allowed, you know. When you're playing about with stuff like this, there isn't time to linger over any one feeling, really. So it feels helpful to me. I had a swim at the reservoir this morning. I woke up and I thought, look, beautiful sunshine. And I was reminded, somebody on YouTube or something was speaking about the power of the water to cleanse and everything. And I was in a bit of a funk there over the over the weekend. And Saturday I was really kind of exhausted and just a bit down on myself, you know. And so I thought, although I had moved beyond it this morning, I thought it would be a nice thing for me to have a swim to really clear the last of that feeling. And you know, it was glorious altogether. I was questioning it on the way over because I've had a slightly runny nose and, you know, not feeling 100%, a few late nights. But it was the best thing I could have done. As soon as I went into the water, and you know, the temperature of the water wasn't that cold actually. What am I doing here now? I'm going to use that stick again now to try and explain the edge of that daisy as it extends out into the light. There's quite a contrast between the daisy and the background dark. The background dark is our piano. Lily's doing music this year. She's 15, so it's her 4th year. So she has exams, and she's chosen to do music and piano and ukulele as her instruments, the keyboard. So we've made an agreement with the neighbours that she doesn't play after 8 o'clock at night because the walls are fairly thin here. But it's lovely to hear the music happening. My older daughter Hope used to play. She moved out a few years ago. She's actually wanting to transport the piano to her flat, which we will do eventually. Neighbours will be happy about that, I'd say. But Lily won't. No. So I'm just outlining a couple of these daisies. I'm kind of keeping you along good night plan now this morning. But it's taken me a while to feel like I'm getting into my stride here, so that's why I'm going on a little bit longer maybe than normal. Well, actually I'm not. For those of you who watch my YouTube channel, you know that I say it'll be 5 minutes and it's then about 40. So I'd say maybe get used to that if you're wanting to tune in here. Go get yourselves a coffee, you know, put your feet up, maybe get out your own colours. So this is oil pastel again now for the Montbretia. I do a lot of watercolour. I was thinking, like, with the first day of the watercolour thing, to be doing a mixed media piece is a bit strange, but it's all part of it. I reckon that it's good not to confine ourselves to any one way of working, especially in that in between, you know, if there's any sort of stress around what you're doing or whatever, it's lovely, I think, to give yourself space and freedom to play, and then you can get back to what Julia Cameron would call the serious work. You know, serious art is born from serious play. I think it is a lovely thing to give ourselves permission to play with whatever comes to hand, and you know, to feel the joy of that. So that's what I'm doing here now, is just reaching for anything that'll work. But I do have some step-by-step photographs that my friend Jem McIntosh took of me painting various models, and so I'm going to put them into, I'm going to post them as well here over the course of the couple of weeks, just to kind of keep with the pure watercolour approach as well. And there's a lovely Montbretia sticking out at the top there now. I want to capture that. That's the kind of high point. Pulling the eye up there. And turns that way more. That's some sort of neon acrylic ink that I used last night to just play with colour. No. So I'm between, yeah, I think I could do it really dark. Something dark to outline the purple flower clearly. Is that going to work? Just to explain the space between the daisy and the back of the jug and the lovely purple flower there, whose name escapes me. We've got some in the back garden. I actually picked a couple of daisies on the way home. They're past their best really, the daisies now, but I had a hankering after them. I'd seen them on the ditch a couple of times. I don't often do that, but there was a big bundle of them, and they were just turning. And I thought, no, I'm going to take a few of them home to go with the Montbretia. So I quite like the white and the orange together. So they came from my journey back from swimming. I actually had only the towel wrapped around me, with, I'd made jumper on and everything, but there was a farmer in the field, so he thought, what is that lady? And I hopped out to pick the daisies in. Right. I think there's a space for this somewhere. Maybe here. Yeah, and I think I want to go in between some of these, just to give a bit more of a shape to the Montbretia flowers there. I'm going to colour in the shape of the space between them as best I can, because the glue is kind of creating a resist. Maybe I can bring some down here too. Oh, there's a nice green. Oh, this is an acrylic pen. I'd probably kill it by working over the glue and the oil pastel and everything, but I'm going to chance it because it's just the colour of green that I want, and for the brightness on the leaves. Maybe over here I can use some too, and even I went right through the glue there, so it's completely seized up now. That wasn't a great idea. Sweep of that leaf going up there. Hopefully I can get it to work again later on. I'll work at it again. Where's the cover? Jeez, that's last night. Oh, I heard about the cover. I'll find it after. Okay, now maybe I could use this painted paper green as well. Some of those leaves too. Of course they're long and thin, aren't they? So a long thin shape would be quite good to describe them. And I'm tearing it that way so that I don't get the white edge. I want there to be no white edge on it. And I'll stick it down and then I'll break it a bit to let space for the orange flower that's already down there. Will I? Yeah. So I'm going to put a little bit there. Crack it and put a little bit, there are thinner pieces going back, so I'm going to make it thinner again. Just put one there, and then maybe one down in the front here actually, and I don't mind that it's got a bit of white on it. Yeah. And I'm going to stick another little bit of green somewhere else too. There. Maybe some orange ink. Let's see what I've got here. By the time I finish this, I'm going to have stuff everywhere. I say that as though it's unusual. It's pretty much par for the course, I'm afraid, in the living room. But we have made a decision to make some, well, at least I have in my head, and the children are happy about it, I think, to make a bit more order in the house. Just to bring in, to use the studio more, I suppose, for me, and for us all to clean up after ourselves a bit more, stuff like that. Yeah. I keep judging myself, saying this is not what you're supposed to be doing on the RSW site, talking about cleaning your house. But I think, these are things that concern all of us, aren't they? And I do find that creative flow is a lot more easily established when things around us have some bit of order. Like Francis Bacon said, I love to have order in my work, but for it to have come about through chaos. No, I don't know if that's relevant to what I was talking about, but I know that I like to have a certain amount of chaos to begin with when I'm painting. But for that to happen, there needs to be order in the environment, a little bit of order, so I know that I can reach for stuff when I need it. And so, yeah, and then you can afford to move into chaos for a little while and then back into order again. And there's a lovely dance there between all of that. I don't know if I'm landing on the chaotic side here though of that dance this morning, which should be no harm either. It's a nice way to kind of recognize if there's a bit of imbalance, or to just allow whatever's there to be. Oh, there's the white. Yeah, there's a bit of everything everywhere. I think the tabletop. I'm going to go back to that, to one of these stencils, and I'm going to use the oil pastel through it, which I've never done before. I've actually only just got these stencils, really, about a month ago. I got them and I used them for a landscape. I was doing a painting down in the harbour at Port Seaton, and I loved having the shape, the pattern, to create variety in the sky and in the land. It's a bit strange, but it's okay. Yeah, it was nice to have the option of a different, just a bit of variety in the surface was really nice. Now, I'm going to put another one down there, and I'm going to use a different pin. Maybe even over some of those white bits. Let's see how that'll go. I wanted to differentiate this side a little bit more from the jug and make it a bit lighter. Some white in there as well. Oh, there's also blue paint coming in. I wanted to make this a bit lighter than the jug. It's a bit more messy than I had wanted it to be now there, to be honest with you. But it's, at least it is lightening up anyway, this side. It's just marginally brighter than the jug is really, because the light is coming from this side. And it's brightening up this side. There's the turquoise again. Just explain the edge of the jug again. And then there's the rim of the jug. I suppose I could explain to you that. No, you know, one thing I know you're probably thinking, my God, look at that chaos. But the one thing I think that might help me here now is, well, that's where all the paint is coming from. I've got a load of paint on the bottom of the, you see over here, that paint there is what's been finding its way in. The one thing I think would really help here is to bring back in a little bit more clarity in that flower that's standing out towards us. So to that end, I'm going to put on, I should really clean my fingers so that it stays white when I put it on, but I want to put on some clearer bits of white here and there for that daisy. Never thought I'd use so much glue, honest to God. I had a plan for this having a feeling of finesse. So, you know, something about when we make plans. Is it, somebody said, is it when we make plans, God laughs at us or something? That was my plan. Finesse is not what I found here, but I found something that's pleasing to me anyway, and I hope it's been alright to watch, and that maybe you'll feel like you have permission to play a little bit today. I'm going to mush it. That's oil pastel. It's just going to resist the brush marks. But I could make it slightly less dominant at least. Okay. Yeah, she's not finished yet. I think maybe just a little bit more petals in relief. And I'm okay with the petals standing out a little bit there because it is standing out a bit. Like Rembrandt used to make his lights really thick. Somebody said you could hold his painting up by the nose because the light was so thickly painted. And then the darks quite thinly painted. So I've used that in my own work a little bit. Now, having said that, rules are made to be broken, I suppose. But it's a good one. If you're in doubt, I would make the darks thinner. I want to bring some white in front of that. I might use the oil pastel too because I think it's dry enough there. Yeah. The oil pastel can make its mark over the orange. And then there's one last bit of white now. Where did I put it? I'm going to make a bit of clarity happen here. I'll just tear that off and put that on. Okay. Yeah. I suppose I could have done with a different colour for the tabletop and the jug. So I'm looking at some way of making them read as being different from each other that's more effective than what I've got so far. And I think turning the white oil pastel on its side will allow me to make a more cohesive table shape. Just bring the colours together a little bit more there so that they're not fighting against the blue in the jug. And there's some through there. I don't know how the red got into that. On the other side of the handle too is quite bright over there. I may as well try my old thing with the stencil again too, just in case it works over here. To give it a slightly similar feel to the other side. The ideal thing there would be not oil pastel but acrylic paint for the stencils because they're struggling with the oil pastel being shoved on top of them. These poor delicate stencils. With the stencil covered in paint as well. It ends up getting the ultramarine blue in places where I couldn't anticipate it going. Okay, quite chaotic still. I think I want something underneath there. Maybe as a final move. Some kind of a dark. The bottom of the jug there. This is from my inky play again last night. I use some of this ultramarine blue, seeing as it's getting in anyway. Yeah, I feel happier with it being a cohesive colour. course it's the orange ink is still fierce wet there. And I don't know that I managed the purple. Something went in there anyway. It's kind of been obliterated again by the greens. So I might stick some more of that nice blue on top to create the character of the purple flower in between the pattern of collage I put on there. And of course the little centres being quite a bright yellow there. Okay, right, do you know what? I'm going to just, I'll stop there and bring it up a little bit closer for you to see what happened. It's still fairly runny. Can you see it? Yeah, sorry, it's not a great camera angle. Bring it down. Oh, look, there's another bit of blue. Honestly, I seem to keep getting blues. The acrylic ultramarine blue seems to get in everywhere. Mind you, it works there, doesn't it, with the blue, with the orange. Okay, so that was my inspiration, and that's what happened. And it's been a real pleasure. 46 minutes later, my God. I don't know how long I don't know how long Instagram TV lets you go on for. But hopefully it's 46 minutes anyway, at least. Okay, so thanks for joining me. That's what happened, and it's a fairly messy carry on, you know. It's a fairly messy carry on, but when I can relax into it, it feels like good medicine, and just kind of breaks through to something new. That feeling of just reaching for whatever you feel will work, you know. So if you did stay the course, well done, and thanks very much for joining me. I'll maybe become a little bit more streamlined as the weeks go on, but I wouldn't count on it. And when I say weeks now, it's just 2 weeks. So you're with me here for 14 days, and I'll try and post something every day if I can. All right, all the best now. See you. Have a good day.